Welcome to Uncommon Knowledge. I'm Peter Robinson. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/UNCKnowledge. Twitter.com/UNCKnowledge. Ask questions, send comments, suggest guests. Today's guest, Harvey C. Mansfield Jr., matriculated at Harvard in 1949 and has been there ever since. He received his bachelor's degree from Harvard in 1953, and his doctorate from Harvard in 1961. In 1962, he joined the Harvard faculty, and today Professor Mansfield is the William R. Kenan Jr. Professor of Government at Harvard. The author of translations and studies of political philosophers from Aristotle to Burke to Machiavelli to Tocqueville, Professor Mansfield is the author of more than a dozen books, including America's Constitutional Soul, The Controversial Manliness, and just out, Tocqueville in a size that anybody can take. A very short introduction to Tocqueville. Today on Uncommon Knowledge, one of the most distinguished academics in America on the state of the American Academy. Harvey, let me begin by noting that when you were asked not long ago to name your proudest achievement, you replied, and I quote you, "At a certain point in my career at Harvard, I decided to raise a little hell." Close quote. Would you care to explain yourself?
Oh, well.
The raising of hell is your proudest achievement.
Raising hell, I decided to have a little fun. Most professors who have tenure are very security conscious. That's a strange thing. You would think that somebody who has lifetime tenure would be willing to take a few adventures.
Whoop it up a little.
Yeah, but they don't. I think it seems that when you have security, you become even more obsessed about security. It isn't that it sets you free. So I decided to make use of my tenure.
All right,
and
good.
to do that by raising hell.
All right, let's raise a little hell together right now. Segment 1, leanings. Few statistics. Political contributions by the faculties of several Ivy League institutions during the presidential election year of 2008. Harvard, 7% to Republican candidates, 93% to Democrats. Yale, 6% to Republicans, 94% to Democrats. My own beloved Dartmouth, apparently a bastion of conservatism, with 14% to Republicans and a mere 86% to Democrats. Harvey, why is this? Why are the faculty at so many impressive institutions so monolithically to the left?
They can't help it. Because they see each other and live with each other and listen to each other and talk to each other. And they all turned left in this way in the late 60s. So
you saw it happen. You were on the faculty
I saw it happen.
Right.
That's when it took place. In the late 60s, the New Left took over from liberalism. The New Left's main enemy was not conservatism. There weren't many conservatives at that time. Harvard was run by liberals of an older kind. Cold War liberals, a lot of them. And
that would have been when you entered Harvard, the faculty would have been dominated by, I'm trying to adjust a Cold War liberal would have been John Kennedy.
That's right.
Willing to endorse the New Deal.
People like that, yeah.
But proud of the United States, a sense of national morale, willing to deploy American force abroad. That would have been the Harvard faculty in those
and
days.
All of them hard graders.
We'll come to that.
Yeah.
All right.
So yes, what happened? That was their. Well, at that time they were simply taken over by the young. Some of them fought, and I fought with them. I was younger, but most of them succumbed to the siren call of the New Left, which placed the protesting youth in charge of the university. They were taking over from the establishment the various institutions which had gotten us into the Vietnam War, and even more were misapplying authority and in general stultifying the country. That was what their view was, and that all of us were undemocratic because we graded people and because we had standards, and we thought that some people were smarter than others. They came after us, and they invaded classrooms and interrupted public discussions and pushed everybody in the universities to the left. What I saw then was just how weak liberalism was in its
because there was no fight in it.
Center. There was no fight. No longer was a liberal somebody who stood up for something and stood up in defense of liberty, but it was a person who was also eager to please and also afraid of being criticized by those younger than he. At that time, you could say the youth and the students took over the university. That's receded somewhat. They no longer run the place. And yet, in a way, they do, because they are...
they have tenure.
Yeah, they don't have tenure, but yes, you're right. As professors, they now have tenure.
Right.
Yeah. The students come and go still, but they're very much very politicized and very much to the left.
Now you say
so all this begins, I think, from the students.
I see.
And the faculty's surrender to the students.